What's up everyone, Howie here at Law Records. Today I'm showing you how to make Schranz like O.B.I. This guy's a legend of Schranz in hard techno, and today I'll reveal some of his techniques. As always, you can grab the project file, presets and samples on my Patreon. Thanks very much for all the support. Now let's begin. So the first thing you need for this style is a powerful low-end kick. Now this has quite a lot of sub in it. It's quite a warm kick relative to a lot of the kicks in this genre. But in this track, the kick was quite full in the low end and quite warm. So I chose this one from my Law Kick Foundation sample pack, which you can pick up on my Patreon and on my website if you're interested in that. And then I've got this kick texture. This is just a texture sample with some distortion, some high pass filtering, some vocoder to make it sound even more like noise. And that's just focusing on the very high end of the signal, and it's about 50%. And then I decided it was way too bright in the end and actually just focused it on the mid-range. So it just adds a bit more texture to the sound. Next, we've got the first layer of rumble, which is the low rumble. It's just that kick brought down, stretched, I think, once with this warp feature down here. Some reverb added, quite a lot of it, 67%, but not full. Decay about 3.62, so quite a long reverb. We're massively smashing that with the amp. And then we've got this low pass filter. So next we've got the first top rumble, which is like a mid-range rumble. It's basically the same thing, the same kick, stretched again, hybrid reverb, 100% with a classic room. An amp in boost mode, and then an EQ boosting a lot of the mid-range. Yeah, we just wanted that central focused bit of the rumble. And then there's one more layer as well, which is this one, which is more like a top rumble. It's a bit wider as well. It's got a digital chamber, clean amp, more EQ, cutting out some of the mud down here as well, more distortion and a sidechain. All three of those rumbles together sound like this. And with the kick, I felt like most of the atmosphere in this track was coming from the kick rumble itself. I didn't think that there was any texture or anything going on, but it sounded a bit like there was some texture. But I think the kick and rumble adds that layer of atmosphere. So I added this element. In some parts of the track, there's this driving kick percussion, which is an arpeggiator on 16th notes with our same kick, a bit of reverb again, but a bit less this time, 36%, heavy filter. That really crunches it up, accentuating the mid-range, maybe a bit more high mids this time, and some sidechain, and that's just sitting above this rumble. After the kick driver, I noticed this tiny little hi-hat layering with it. It's very quiet in the mix if you layer it with a kick driver. Yeah, so it's quite subtle. It's basically just a regular hi-hat with some wave shaping on it and some high pass, and it was just going straight through. I didn't put any sidechain on it because I didn't think it needed it. It's very subtle, but the small things add up in these tracks. To break up the track, he then added some resonant noise. Yeah, so it's got very resonant white noise style with the filter really pushed up. Without that, it's just very plain white noise. But with the filter, it sounds like some very mechanical noise. I've then just got a high pass, hybrid reverb, not too heavy. And then this is a technique I use to kind of widen the sound, pushing the left and right EQ in slightly different directions, and it takes the sound out of the center. It kind of ruins the phase a little bit, but almost in a satisfying way because it just opens out and makes the sound a bit wider. And this can work on a lot of mono sounds. Then we have the simple open hat. I've just used a utility to isolate the left channel because I wanted it mono. I've got a drum bus, which makes it a little bit more gritty. And added some serious attack with this transients knob. I don't normally like drum bus, but sometimes it does the job. Auto filter, high pass, and then some boosting of the high end. That just really helped to make it cut through. Next, a ride loop. This is very subtle in the mix and it layers well with the open hat. It just adds a little bit more shine to the top end. Now, most importantly, we've got this lead sound. This is fairly simple actually. It's just octaves, jumping up 2 octaves to B and then playing the single note above that, which is like the first or the Phrygian. It's like a very dark sounding techno scale. So he's basically using that first note there to really add the tension. And then we're jumping in between octaves. We've got B2, B3, and then we've got some additional notes coming in at the end to resolve the sequence. There's quite a lot of big octave jumps in this melody, so definitely try that with your melodies. Try jumping up octaves and sometimes even 2 octaves. It's a very distorted, warped sounding FM lead that almost definitely came from a modular synth. I know he's into modular synthesis. I used the preset from my Law Wavetable pack as a starting point and then just played around with it until it worked. So what you have here is a saw dual 1 in basics mode. FM, make sure that's on. Tune to -2%, amount to 10%. That's just going to give it that FM sound. It's that instability that you're looking for. And then you've got the frequency at 843. The amp envelope is quite aggressive. When you have quite a sharp transient in your amp envelope, what happens is when you run it in distortion, that just becomes a big sustained note rather than like a pluck. It becomes a big sustained note because everything's being squished. In the matrix, essentially the LFO is just moving around the oscillator FM amount, which is over here, and LFO2 is moving the oscillator position, so that's continuously evolving. And then the filter 1 frequency is also being modulated by LFO2. So that's just moving the frequency a little bit. Yeah. This movement really gives it that analog, unstable sound. So always keep your sounds moving. Try and mess with the modulation. You don't want it sounding too static ever. I'm running it through saturator, medium, curve, raw twice. I'm running the soft clipper. I'm running the tube on the next one. And then I've got even more distortion. I'm really distorting the sound. I've got overdrive, 15%. I've got a pedal. Which is really adding that aggressive fuzzy sound. It's one of the only times I've actually used the pedal in fuzz mode, but it sounds so good. And then finally I've got the wave shaper, just using the curve to change the sound, kind of grit it up even more. So all of this distortion is designed to just layer on top of the sound and really mess it up and make it sound really unstable. And then I've got the FX, just some reverb and echo in a rack. I always do it in a rack because it makes it sound a lot cleaner. I've then got a boosted 3.3 kilohertz, just bringing out a bit of that energy and harshness because it is quite a harsh sound if you listen to the original. It's pushed back quite a bit in the mix, as a lot of these leads are in these tracks, but it's actually quite a harsh sound. If you've not got a modular synth, sometimes you have to work a little bit harder to get that character, but you can definitely do it. And then just a sidechain compressor to fit it in the mix. And that is how to make Schranz like O.B.I. Grab this project file plus a ton of other presets and samples on my Patreon. My Kick Foundations pack has become really popular, so if you need hard techno or Schranz kicks, definitely check that out. If you want to dive deeper on a topic, you can email me to set up a one-on-one coaching session. The link's in the description. Drop your comments and remake requests below, hype, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.